A coalition of lawyers and human rights activists on Monday demanded an independent investigation into the controversial death of 16-year-old Atsa Siziu in Makurdi, Benue State, while calling for far-reaching reforms within the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The coalition, under the aegis of the Coalition of Lawyers and Human Rights Activists for Justice, made the demands during a peaceful protest at the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. Speaking on behalf of the group, the coalition's co-convener, Bar. Theophilus Benjamin Ajonagwa, called for the immediate constitution of a credible and independent panel of inquiry comprising respected members of the judiciary. He insisted that the investigation must be transparent, time-bound and granted unrestricted access to all relevant records, witnesses and forensic evidence. He also demanded that the EFCC operative who allegedly pulled the trigger, alongside the superior officer who allegedly authorized the operation, should be identified, arrested and prosecuted. Nigeria cannot continue to lose its promising young citizens to reckless and unlawful actions by security agencies, Ajonagwa said. Enough is enough. Justice for Siziu Atsa must not be delayed or denied, he declared.
Saddened and outraged by the brutal and suspicious killing of 16-year-old Sesu, a JS3 student who was also learning phonics, making to support his family. The tragic death of this young Nigeria in Cashew, Axis of Makurdi, at the hands of operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, raises grave questions about the Commission's operational conduct, respect for human rights, and adherence to due process. We reject the EFCC official narrative as implausible and self-serving. The conflicting accounts, particularly the heart-wrenching testimony of Sesu's mother, Mrs. Jennifer, point strongly to her extrajudicial execution rather than any legitimate law enforcement actions. It is unacceptable that a young boy, previously arrested and released by the same agency with no incriminating evidence found, would later be chased, shot or close range, and left in a pool of blood. The EFCC shifting portrayal of Sesu from a mere suspect in internet fraud to a dangerous cultist who escaped custody by breaking through a toilet roof only deepens public suspicion and erodes confidence in the agency. We stand firmly with the grieving family and the people of Benue State in demanding justice. No agencies of government, no matter how well-intentioned its mandate, has the right to act as prosecutor, judge, and executioner. Our demands: we call for the swift constitution of a credible, independent panel of inquiry to thoroughly ascertain the circumstances surrounding Sesu's death. This probe must be transparent, time-bound, and granted full access to all relevant records, witnesses, and forensic evidence. The EFCC operative who allegedly pulled the trigger and the superior officer who gave the order must be identified, arrested, and made to face the full wrath of the law. Impunity in cases of this nature only embodies further abuses. We urge the EFCC to immediately review and reform its operational tactics, particularly in anti-cyber crime rate. The Commission must uphold the constitutional rights of citizens, including the right to life, dignity, fair hearing, and freedom from torture or extrajudicial harm. Raids must be intelligence-driven, warrant-based, and conducted with professionalism and restraint. The federal government and the EFCC must take full responsibility for the welfare of Sesu's family, including the adequate compensation and psychological support for his mothers and siblings. We will be staging a peaceful protest. Nigeria cannot continue to lose its promises.
Responding to the protesters, the EFCC's head of media and publicity, Dele Oyewale, rejected allegations of extrajudicial killing, insisting that the commission acted within the law. He said Siziu was among 16 suspected internet fraud suspects arrested by operatives of the EFCC's Makurdi Zonal Directorate on April 26, 2026, and was detained following a valid remand order obtained from a magistrate court. He explained that on May 5, 2026, 3 suspects sought permission to use the lavatory and were allowed to do so but escaped through the roof. He dismissed claims that the EFCC ignored the rule of law or took the law into its own hands. Everything that happened was lawful. There was no extrajudicial killing, and the EFCC did not take the law into its own hands, he said. The EFCC spokesman maintained that the Commission had already issued a statement explaining the incident and that the police had also released their own report detailing the circumstances surrounding the suspect's death. He assured Nigerians that the EFCC remained a law-abiding institution committed to operating within the provisions of
the submission of my very distinguished gentleman. But I want to quickly say this. The reality on ground and the circumstances that surrounded the death of the suspect, they were not brought. You didn't bring them to bear in what you said. 16 suspects were arrested for alleged cyber offenses April 26 in Makurdi. By April 5th, May 5th, 2026, 3 of them took an excuse that they wanted to use the lavatory. And of course, they have a right to use the lavatory. And we allowed them the use of the lavatory. While they were using the lavatory, they escaped through the roof of the lavatory, 3 of them. And as a responsible law enforcement agency, we were on a manhunt for them. After about 2 weeks, we got intelligence that one of them was somewhere in a location in Makurdi. And of course, we deployed some of our operatives to go after them and see how we can bring the suspect back to custody. But as they were coming out of the vehicle, they opened fire on them with no provocation. They opened fire on them. And in self-defense, our operatives also responded. They were trained. Now, in the course of that, when the superior firepower from the EFCC came, they flew. So, we thought that, okay, they have escaped again. But along the line, when our operatives were coming, they saw one of them that was lying in the pool of his blood, and they took him to the police cottage hospital at the police headquarters in Makurdi. And he was attended to. After some time, he was certified there. And the police came out with a report. It's a fugitive. It's a suspect that escaped from custody. So all of these narratives about the EFCC not complying with the rule of law, the EFCC taking laws into its own hand, I want to ask you, has it ever happened anywhere in the world that a law enforcement agency responding in self-defense at the scene of crime? Now, will you look on when fires were opened on you and you will not respond? So everything that happened, everything happened lawfully. There was no extrajudicial killing. The EFCC did not take law into its own hand. And we came out with a report, we came out with a press statement explaining what happened, because we know that we are accountable to the public. We explain what happened to Nigerians, the circumstances. The police came with its own report, the EFCC came with its own report, explaining the circumstances that led to the death of the fugitive. So I want to assure Nigerians that we are law-abiding, and the provision of the rule of law, we keep to the rule of law, and we do our work responsibly and responsively.